Hello, everyone. I'm so happy to be here today to talk about accounting. And it's a really important topic for me. So I'm very happy to be here with Siram Samtami from Excel Accounting to answer my questions. And if you have any questions, please write them there. We're going to see them coming. And very happy and very excited. I'm really curious about it. Their questions have been in my mind for a while, so I'm glad, we come to talk about them. So just a bit of housekeeping before we go. People who ask, just let you know, we don't see your names here, but we'll see your questions. So ask. Another thing, what we like to have, we have maximum half an hour. However, if my questions have been asked and we see no more questions, we're gonna finish earlier. And another thing, this video is recorded and is going to be added to guides. So as you know, if you go on our Facebook group, you see there are guides where we have all our Facebook lives. So you can watch them later. You don't need to be here the whole time. So yeah, and one more thing, just that to be aware, the platform that we are using is called StreamYard, which makes us we able to do the Facebook Live. And this platform, there is a lag between when we talk and when you hear and when you write and when it comes back to us. So it's not instantaneous. All right, so give us time to see your messages and give us time to respond. And with that being said, I'd like to welcome Simran again. She was with us in another Facebook Live. Thank you very much for being here, Simran.
Pleasure to be here.
Okay, all right. So, why is this important? I thought talking about accounting because the corporate tax has started now in June, and people like, I think I'm not the only one, where we have winged it for the past years. And now it's like someone will look into our books, and we don't want to get in trouble with the accounting because I don't know, I assume that there is a fine if you don't have it right. So what I'd like to talk about today, Simran, to tell us what is it that we need to have in order? What do we need to have to be all right for the tax, corporate tax?
Sure. So we're all doing business, and business is all about money. It's money coming in, money going out. So keeping all records of money is very important, irrespective whether tax is there or not there. But because there was no authority in the past, a lot of people, whether they are small businesses, even larger businesses, haven't maintained proper discipline in keeping track of the invoices, the expenses, and everything. Something which we very commonly see a lot of people do is use your personal account for business expenses, use your business account for personal expenses, whether they're bank accounts, whether they're credit cards. And if you're a solopreneur or a freelancer, you'll say, anyway, the money is coming to me. So, it doesn't matter. And you're not keeping a track of it and saying, and a lot of people are not taking salary. But now with the tax regime coming in, and anyway, I think they're good habits is to maintain these accounts, to maintain all the records. So the accounting standards have come in. So there are certain standards that the FTA is saying that we need to do. So number one is definitely keeping records of all the money coming in and all the money going out. Okay, so all invoices, all receipts, any contracts you have with your vendors, with your suppliers, everything, as much documentation that's possible, we have to keep them. Keep all bank statements, all credit card statements. Certain tips is the way we've been doing business in the past, even if they are businesses that are filing VAT, that are maintaining some kind of records. I recommend that you have an accounting software. They are not expensive, but even if not, you're maintaining it on Excel sheets. It should not just be papers, but even if they're papers, they have to be organized in a month manner. But we need to keep them. So the way we've been doing business in the past cannot continue to be the way we are going to be doing business in the future. And a lot of people say, but I'm not, it's tax is not applicable to me. Let me be very clear and very specific. Even if you're earning 1 dirham of revenue and you have a business license, you are eligible for tax, whether you pay tax or not. So, which means you have to register for tax. And number two is you have to file tax, even if it's a nil return. Even if the FTA comes back and says, can you prove to me why is it a nil return? How will you prove it? You'll need to have your records to be able to prove it, that I've not crossed this amount, I have not, and this is my profit, I've not made a profit, or I've not made profit worth 375,000 plus. So we need to have that record. Again, your closing balance of your closing period becomes the opening balance of your tax period. Now, what is your tax period? First and foremost thing.
Simran, I feel like interviewing because we are moving ahead. All right.
Okay.
So
Okay.
before we go there, okay, so we have some questions going on. All right, let's go with this. What's the best way to keep up with the accounting software? Any recommendations for one?
Yes, I highly recommend cloud-based accounting softwares only. It could be Xero, Xero, which is a very, very user-friendly accounting software.
Zero.
It is
It's
not an
called
accountant
CRO.
software.
Okay.
Xero.
Yeah. Yes.
QuickBooks. The other one
QuickBooks.
is QuickBooks
Yeah.
or Zoho Books. Okay,
Zoho Book.
ideally these are cloud-based accounting softwares, which means
Yeah.
it can be available anywhere and everywhere that you want. They are
Yeah.
not desktop friendly. Even if you have somebody in your office doing the accounts on that software, even if it's you yourself doing it or you've outsourced it to an accounting company, you as a business owner can track it on your mobile app at any point of time.
Okay. So I'm just while you're talking, I'm just writing here QuickBooks and Zoho Books for
Yeah, and
accounting.
Xero, Xero, three.
Hmm? Zero. Okay.
Xero.
I use Zoho Books and it's free. So the version which I use it's free. So I'm not sure. It's QuickBooks
No,
and
so they're not
Zero
free, but
free?
they're not expensive either. So it depends on the currency you're using. If you're using a single currency, if you're only dealing in the UAE, it would cost you between 100 to 125, 130, 40 dirhams only per month. They're not expensive. Different
Yeah.
softwares with different stuff. They're not expensive, but
Yeah.
they're value
Great.
for money definitely.
I just put them here. Okay. Another question. Also, do we need to open a business bank account for this? Do you need to we need to have a business account?
It's preferable for a business owner to have a business bank account. Even in the future, if you need some funds, you need and to separate. It is beneficial to have a business bank account. I would recommend a digital bank, which I think a lot of people are using right now, called Biobank. I
Yeah,
think they
yeah.
have no
I
minimum
noticed.
balance requirements. WIO Bank, Biobank. A
Yeah.
lot of freelancers, solopreneurs, and they're digital. It's very easy to open an account. You don't have to
Yeah.
visit any branch. You do it on your mobile.
Okay. I have a question for you, follow up on this, Will. I'm so glad we have this call. I used to have before Stripe connected to my personal account. And then
Yes.
when I moved to, when I had my Wio account, I call it Wio, I'm not sure what's
Yeah.
the best
Yeah.
way to say it.
Yeah.
Um, some of the expense they still come to my personal. So I have, for example, a client who I invoiced last year. So she is sending me, because of her financial situation, she still has money to pay me, and because of that I don't have will, she sends to my personal bank account. So how do I would I be fined is that I use bank account, or how do I do between my bank account and the will account now?
You will not be fined, but what happens eventually, there's a word called reconciliation. So you have to reconcile, which means somebody who's doing your accounts, you need to see your personal accounts, your business accounts, your credit cards, and then try and make sure that you've not missed out on any transaction.
Mm.
Right? So it just complicates matter. To simplify matters, we say you should have one business bank account where everything is coming, one credit card. Even if you're using a personal credit card, make one only for business, because otherwise, at eventually when you grow and you're outsourcing it, or you have someone in your office doing it, you may not want to give your personal bank statements for them to see. You may not want to give your personal credit card statements for them to see.
Yeah.
But at one point, from a tax perspective, from your accounting perspective, you have to keep records of everything. So you have to keep track of what's coming in your personal bank account that is required for business.
Okay. Okay. All right. Good. I'm glad. I'm glad. Now I see here questions regarding the corporate tax, and I love for you to listen. And just that 2 weeks ago we had a Facebook Live on with Nazima from Expedia and
Mhm.
her husband on
Mhm.
corporate tax. We talks about which company are registered and how do you register. So I like for you to direct you for the ones who are listening and have this question, to say this is not the purpose of it. What we do that plus Imran, it talks from accounting, not from the registration way. So we're not going to cover that now. And so please go to guides and you find the video with Nazima from Expedia, from you are from, sorry, from Enterprise House there. Okay, so here. Okay, so there are two questions there about regarding how do they register for corporate tax, how do they register? We're not going to answer now. All right,
But
moving
can I
on.
just, I'll just
Yes,
add one thing here for
ah,
everybody.
please.
For the fear of registration, you can please go to the other one and watch for the process and everything. At this stage, registration is not open for everybody. It is not mandatory for you to register now like it was for VAT. For VAT, there was a deadline and there would be a fine. For tax, there is no deadline right now for you to register. Your registration has to happen before you file based on your filing period. I just want to mention that. So
Okay.
don't fear and say that, am I losing out right now because you were talking about fines? No, you can wait for registration. It's not even open for everybody at the moment.
Yeah, that's great. That's great. Yeah. Okay, cool. Thank you for clarifying that, for saying that. All right. Now, so what is it when you say you need to have all the documents? So what do I need to have? I need to have all the invoices, everything that I invoice. Now,
Yes.
when I invoice with Wheel, I send them automatically by email or from the app. Do I need to download them and put them in a folder in my computer as January, February, March, April? Like
Yes.
how?
Yes, you'll have to keep it, and which is why I recommend accounting softwares to everybody. Because what happens is in accounting softwares, you'll raise the invoice directly from the software. You don't have to download or keep anything. Everything is in the software for your records forever. Okay, and which is why it becomes easy for businesses. So I would definitely say you need to have all your records. If you're not using an accounting software, if you have an Excel sheet also that you're maintaining, you should have corresponding documents. So whether you put it on a Dropbox, you put it on a Google Drive, but it should have folders like January, February, March, income, expenses, bank statements, credit card statements, so that you can match it. What?
Okay, let me write down. Let me write down. Okay. Okay.
Yes.
So it's income. So here are the invoices, right? So I
Yes.
have a folder with invoices per month. I have a
Yes.
folder. Do I need receipts as well?
Yes. Everything.
So I need
Everything.
receipts.
Yes.
Okay. Receipts for each month. So
Yes.
everyone who pay me, I send the invoice, I send the receipt.
Yes.
Okay. Now I use Wheel. So they pay me. Do they get a receipt? Do you know that?
No,
So
so as long as it's in your bank statements, it's fine. If they
it
don't
is
give
in
you a
my bank
receipt,
statement because my invoices are connected in Wheel. And I talk about Wheel as being a very good bank because I have everything here.
yes, yes. So wherever you have a receipt, you'll keep a receipt. Wherever you have an invoice, invoices, everything is paid on an invoice. Even your VAT is on an invoice. So everything is on invoices. So invoices have to be maintained.
And they're here, invoices, and they're in my bank account, my bank statement, right? So I don't need to do download them and put it in the folder. Do I need to download them?
As long as you can download them when needed, it's prudent to have the download copy and keep it. You can do it at the end of the month and keep it with you.
Okay. Okay. All right. So it could be like a habit to build by the end of the month to
Yes.
download the invoices, receipts, bank statement, and put them into folders. So
Credit
that,
card statements as well if you're using credit cards.
okay. Okay.
Also, any kind of contracts you have with your
Yeah.
suppliers and your vendors. So for other people, that have contracts. So if you have contracts and with vendors, even those have to be documented and kept.
And as coaches, we have contracts with clients as well. I have
Yes,
that as well.
contracts as well.
And signed and everything by the client.
Yes, yes. Because what happens is if there's anything, what is applicable for tax, what are the deductions are available, all of that will also, I'll cover that later. I don't want to jump the topic, but the fact is, all that has to be in your contracts as well, right?
Okay. Okay, great, great. So I ask because I'm very curious because of me, but I know that other businesses out there who don't have the same situations as me. So I like you to move on and tell us about what other type of businesses out there and what they need to have.
Right. So for people who are using an accounting software, you do something called a chart of accounts, right? So currently, the chart of accounts that you were using before your tax period and the chart of accounts that you'll be using after your tax period, there would be certain changes that you will need to incorporate in it. What is a chart of accounts in simple terms for those who are not using the software and are solopreneurs and small business owners? It's nothing but it's a record of, like an index of a book. It's a record of every single way that the business is going to be categorized. So, for example, your income will be categorized by codes, your expenses will be categorized by separate codes. So, every transaction has a certain link of category. I also run an accounting simplified Instagram videos to explain all these small. So, follow me on Instagram or LinkedIn and understand these definitions. I'll not spend that much time right now, but it's basically how you maintain your records. So, I'll give you a classic example in that. What is going to happen is expenses that we are doing, some of them will be allowed to be deducted for tax, some of them will not be allowed to be deducted for tax. So if you're doing entertainment expenses, okay, so if you're taking your client out for dinner, you're taking your suppliers out for dinner, you are, spending on all of that, 50% of those expenses can be tax deductible. For your employees, if you're treating your employees, 100% can be tax deductible. And other expenses that you have, like if there are fines, there are bribes, and there's a whole list of non-deductible, will be at 0%. So what you do is, instead of just putting expenses, we'll have to now categorize these expenses, saying how much of these expenses did I spend for my client entertainment, how much of these expenses did I spend for my staff expenses, how much was others. So you'll have to categorize into 0%, 50%, 100% tax deductible. So at the end of the tax period, you're not going and saying, now how much tax benefits I can get from this. So it's planned before, maintained before. They're put it in, the documents are put in that order for you to be able to do that. So it's very, very important that if you are having an accounting software, or you've outsourced it to someone, or you have an accountant doing it, my suggestion is to look at the chart of accounts, assess your chart accounts based on whatever the tax things are coming in. There's another thing called withholding tax. Now, in Dubai, it's 0% withholding tax. In the UAE, there is no withholding tax, but other countries have withholding tax. So, if you're doing business in Saudi and other countries, they have withholding tax. So, in your contracts, like I told you, in your contracts with suppliers, with vendors, we need to decide who's going to bear the withholding tax. Withholding tax is nothing but there is a certain tax that you hold till the transaction is done, and then do it. So these are small things, but they make a big difference in the streamlining, in the organizing of your documents. And so I would definitely use two words in your maintenance of your documents and folders. However you're doing it, they need to be detailed. Give as much explanation as possible, even if they're handwritten notes or digital notes. And second is, they need to be organized month wise, organized by different folders, like we spoke about, because it just makes it easier when you're then doing the filing and bringing it all together. And know what needs to be filed.
Yeah, yeah. So, as we have this, let's say I keep my accounts when I register for tax. Then do I need an auditor to come and audit and do it for me, or how does it work? Do you have
Yeah.
any
So as
idea?
of now, what the government has said, that if you are a business owner that is not doing 50 million dirhams of revenue, companies that are doing more than 50 million dirhams of revenue are need an audit. The second people who need an audit are free zones. Okay, qualifying free zones. Now, there's the free zone qualification has just come out last week. There are certain more things that will come out in free zones, but most of the free zones anyway are doing audits, because the free zone requires use. If you're in DMCC, you're anyway doing audit for your license renewal. So there are lots of free zones that automatically require for you to do an audit. For those businesses that have Dubai DED license, audit is not required. Maintaining a good set of management accounts is enough. You don't need a formal audit at this point of time as per the FTA.
Okay, so free zone, they, and you say they audit me. They audit is because I
No.
have two business licenses. One is DD, one is free zone. So what's the
Free zone is
auditing
it,
there?
Anna?
Hmm?
Which free zone do you have? The
Sharjah,
DED does not require an audit. The which free zone is it?
Sharjah free zone.
Does Sharjah free zone require you to give them an audited bank statement for your license renewal every year?
I just renewed and they did not ask me.
They did
That's
not ask. But what's going to happen is we're still awaiting the list of qualifying free zones from the FTA, and there will be a list that would be provided, and your free zone will let you know if they would need it. But at this point of time, that list is still awaited, and I'll keep you posted as soon as that list comes out.
okay. Okay. All right. So,
The question here
uh,
is: free zones have to pay tax? Yes, they do. Assume that everybody has to pay tax.
yeah, everyone. So it's about the thing.
Unless
Okay.
you come into some basic exemption category, those things would come out. But assumption here is if you're even making a 1 dirham and you have a trade license in free zone or non-free zone, you'll have to be paying tax.
Even if it's zero, you need to register for tax.
Yes, you have
But
to
that
register
will,
even if you have to file a 0 nil return.
yeah.
Uh, yes.
Okay. Okay. All right. So now I have a question for me, which is for me, and maybe some others will relate to it. So I have the following systems in place. I have Stripe, which I have payment links from Stripe. All right, for mompreneurs, for example, when I do events, it's payment link with Stripe, and then Stripe gives back to we account in mompreneurs every time, right? Then, so I don't have invoices there. I have them all together in Stripe, and Weo just receives the money, like cumulated. How does that work? As what do I need to have in place for that?
No, so whatever you have your bank statement from VO giving you all the payments that are coming in,
Yes.
right? In your Stripe account, also you will have a list of what all has come through Stripe. There would be a statement from Stripe as well that you have, right, to reconcile
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
say
Yes. 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 I
everything
have.
that has come on Stripe is now coming into your bank statement. So
Yeah.
reconciliation is nothing but matching. Okay, so you take your Stripe account and say, okay, I was supposed to receive 1,000, and this is all that has come in into my bank account.
Yeah. Okay, and there is in Stripe, there is the possibility at a certain fee to issue invoices for everyone. And I don't, do I need to issue invoices for everyone who buy, like mompreneurs, right? This mompreneur second anniversary is coming now. So people buy there. So if I want them to issue invoices, I have to pay 0 point, I don't know, percentage per person. Do I need that invoice
I think it would
or
always be prudent to have those invoices, especially when you have VAT and there's a VAT portion into your fees, because the banks would be asking a VAT portion.
we don't
It's
have
not
that? Mompreneurs is not of that
so
qualified.
till now, I guess it's okay, but eventually, if your clients ask for an invoice, you'll have to issue an invoice.
Yeah. Okay. But and I can press for receipts. So they say, okay, send the receipts and then so I can send receipts for
Okay,
that. Okay.
okay,
All right.
okay.
Good. All right. I don't want to concentrate mine on my a lot on my business, but I like you
But I'm
to
happy to have a discussion with you separately
yeah,
to guide you on your business as
yeah.
well. So again, for the listeners, I can give them 15 minutes chat if they just want to not be asking questions in front of everybody. I'm happy to give them a 15-minute complimentary chat to just guide them on what they need to do.
Ah, that's wonderful. Thank you. Thank you. And how can they book for that, Simran?
I'll share my Calendly link on the group, or I can share it with
Yeah.
you, Dan, and you can post it.
I mean, you can, yeah, we can do that as a comment to this video so people can find the calendar link. Yeah, you can write there.
I'll put the link in the chat after our call is over.
Yeah, yeah, great. What is it for you that it's, I don't know, something that we haven't specified here that you like to add? Because I see no more questions coming and I don't want to concentrate more in on my business. So what
Correct.
is it that
No,
we
no.
need to know?
So all I will say is to maintain records for everything, like we've covered. Understand the law. Attend as many webinars and tax webinars as possible, because the things that are coming up every week. The first step is to understand the law. So to understand how is it affecting me. First question is, am I affected? Yes, everybody is affected. Every business owner is affected. How am I affected is to understand your nature of the business and find out what of the tax is applicable to you. Do an assessment, make the changes right now, to understand how will you treat the money that is coming in, your opening balances. Again, I will tell everybody right now, once you know what your financial date is, and how will you find out your financial date? In your article of association, it will tell you whether your financial year is Jan to December, it is April to March, 1st July to June, it'll have to be on your articles of association. So please check your article of association, find out your financial period. If changes have to be made to the financial period, you need to go back to the government, to the FT, and ask for that change. If it's not mentioned anywhere, you need to do a board resolution and have that date, because if you are a business from 1st December to 31st December 2024, your tax applicability starts from 1st December, which means your closing book of accounts is 31st December 2023. That becomes your opening balance, and so you cannot make changes and shifts to that before. So my tip is, if there are business owners that are not giving themselves a salary today, need to start giving themselves a salary on record. Okay, because you can't just all of a sudden start giving yourself salary, correct? Your profitability, your profit figure changes. How much salary to give? It has to be something on an arm's length principle, which means it has to be fair, it has to be reasonable. A lot of people who are not taking salaries, please start taking salaries, and don't start putting too much amount as salary that is not practical. Okay, people say, okay, I will put my son into this, I will put my wife into it. If they're not working in the business, you can't put them. You cannot give your 18-year-old son 50,000 dirhams as salary. Arm's length is what you would give an outsider. For the same amount is what you will give the salary, based on experience and expertise. So that's very important. So these are the changes you will need to bring in today to make sure that your profit figure is correct. Another thing that I will tell you, and again, watch my video for more clarification on my Instagram, is cash versus an accrual basis of accounting. There are two types of accounting methods. Cash accounting is actually just recording when the money is coming in. So for example, I have made a sale in January, but I have received the money in
Simran, we only have
March.
4 minutes, and I think this is a bigger subject to talk. So maybe they
Okay.
can
So
read
just
more
watch my
about
video
it.
is all I would say. But
Yeah.
cash is allowed for less than 3 million revenue in the business by FTA. Otherwise, the accepted method is accrual basis of accounting.
Okay, great. Okay, so we have here a question is like, for DD trader, we don't have an article association. How
So
does
you'll have to define your financial year and do a board resolution saying this is my financial year
okay, okay.
of, yeah.
Say if we transfer some money from business account to personal account, how does it affect the tax?
It does not affect, because that's for your personal use, right? My personal experience would be to put a salary and then spend whatever from your personal account rather than from your business account. But if you're transferring to your business account in accounting methods, it will get added to your current account. I don't want to get technical here, but in tax it doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter. Okay. So I have here a longer question. Let's see if we can answer. I have a contracting company and I'm still not registered for VAT. What are the requirements for the VAT to be mandatory? The threshold to register for VAT. I see this is all about the VAT and we are not covering the VAT now, right?
I will answer your question in the chat, yeah, later on.
Okay. Okay. Great. Great.
Yeah.
So we'll answer this. Okay. So now a question. So as businesses have been here for a few years, and now we start the corporate tax. How much back do we need to go in order for the corporate tax? Do I need to set my accounts from 2 years ago, 3 years ago, or only this current year?
See, current year will definitely be have to set right, as I said, because your opening balance, your closing balance of the current year becomes your opening balance.
Yeah.
We cannot go back 3 or 4 or 5 years.
Yeah.
However, you can get accuracy in that. It's always beneficial. But the current year, the 1 year before this, becomes definitely very important. The year before your tax period starts, your financial year starts. So that previous year becomes very important, because you can also do a mock. We recommend people to do a mock tax on the previous year, so it'll give you an idea of what the tax period would look like. And there are certain other tips that would come there, but yeah, the previous year will definitely become important.
So 2022, you mean?
It will depend upon your financial year. So if your financial year is starting from 1st July 2023, then your 1st July 2022 to 30th June 2022. If your financial year is 1st Jan 2024, then 1st Jan 2023 to December
Okay.
2023.
Okay.
The
Cool.
previous financial year, whatever your financial year is.
Okay. Okay. Thank you. Thank you very much, Simran. You clarified lots of things for me. And anyone else who has any questions, you can write in the comments and Simran will keep an eye on it. We're going to answer to you. Also, Simran, we're going to have the link to give 15 minutes one-on-one to anyone to ask. That's great. I'll take that opportunity. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And yeah, and when we can find more about you, you said if you can write, or you can write later your
Sure.
Instagram. You said you do videos.
Simran Samtani, my name on any of your preferred
Yeah.
platforms.
Ah, wonderful. Thank you. You are everywhere. Thank you, Simran. Thank you for being here, and thank
You're
you everyone
welcome.
for
Thank you for
being
having
and
me here.
listening. And if you have any other topics that you like to hear about, just let me know, and we're gonna bring the expert and we're gonna ask him the questions. Have a good day, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you.